Does an ape man walk the uncharted forests of America's Northwest?
No! Look! It's in the trees. It's coming! The demon! It's coming!
Hello, my name's Gavin, and this is Genre Books, and today we're dipping back into the world of Giant Ape-Ril, a reading event organised by Roy Reads Anything and co-hosted by Annie at Obscure Book Adventures and Duncan from Backaway from the Donkey. This is a month-long event looking at giant apes, giant creatures, and today, Bigfoot. In particular, the North Surrey Gigantopithecus. And I'd better start by explaining the joke here. This book is set in Sutton, edging towards the Banstead area. There is zero chance of there being a Bigfoot creature in these parts. How else to introduce this book to you? I could start with reading the very first paragraph. Dear mate, I wasn't sure you would get this far, so thanks a million already. You've opened the mystery bag. Many wouldn't have had the conkers to open the mystery bag. The world is made up of two types of people: those who creep through life terrified of the mystery bag, and those who ride to the edge of human knowledge just to get a peek of what's inside the mystery bag. I'm one of those riders now. Kevin Stubbs is one of those guys. Or I could, to give you a sense of the book, read you the acknowledgements, part of the acknowledgements. Gigantic could not have been possible without the inspiration provided by 2000 AD, 2001 A Space Odyssey, Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Bungle from Rainbow, Chewbacca, Phil Collins, Conan the Barbarian, Aleister Crowley, Doctor Who and the Web of Fear, Judge Dredd, James Herbert, King Kong, C.S. Lewis, the Jeff Love Orchestra, H.P. Lovecraft, David Lynch, Marillion, Gustav Meyrink, Omni, the Patterson Gimlin film, The Piltdown Man, Abe Sapien, Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, and The Unexplained. So this is a book about the search in North Surrey for a Bigfoot type creature. Except it's not. This is what it purports to be, but I've been hoodwinked, hornswoggled, hoaxed. This is not so much a tale of the creature, but it's a tale of the search. Our protagonist is Kevin Stubbs, who is, I'm guessing, late 30s, mid to late 30s, who is a man estranged from his wife, separated from his teenage son, stuck in a stale job, and with a history of rejection. His only outlet, his only creative motivation, is his membership of the Gigantopithecus investigation team, or GIT, a dwindling group of Bigfoot enthusiasts on a quest, a fruitless quest anyone else would say, to uncover and validate the evidence of Gigantopithecus in the Sutton Banstead area. It's a book that should be funny, and it frequently is funny, but it also contains a warning, it contains a message. This is a story of obsession. This is a story of that search for community, for validation, for social validation. This is a warning about the dangers of conspiracy theories, and an example of what happens when someone is searching for answers and looking anywhere else but at themselves. So this small group of the Gigantopithecus investigation team have all the kit, but no real idea of what to do with it. They know all the stories, they know all the terminology, But I really don't think it can be the place of a booktuber to ridicule the obsession of a small group of people. I should imagine there are very few people outside the booktube community who know what we might be going on about when we talk about DNFs, TBRs, ARCs, and I think, like any online community, even one as welcoming, friendly and nice as booktube is, can still sometimes on its fringes lend itself to one-upmanship, mansplaining, last word merchants, all of which are very evident on the Gigantopithecus investigation team. So we have Kevin Stubbs, our protagonist, and we have the two other main members of the Git, who are like the little angel and demon on Kevin's shoulder. His angel is Maxine Cash. She is the science teacher at his son's school. His son doesn't want to see Kevin. He's being bullied at school because of the notoriety of his father being the crazy monkey guy. She has joined the team in order to make him see the error of his ways, to try and instill in him a scientific rigour. But countering this is Derek Funnell, a man who has an explanation for everything, and none of the explanations are scientific. In this regard, Derek has a much easier job here than Maxine, because Kevin is someone who is already so convinced in his own beliefs that he sees anything as a validation of this, and he sees evidence as something that is actually undermining his explanation for events. But in this book, we also see it being taken to a level where Kevin is going to irreparably ruin his life, burn his bridges with his family. Maxine is here to try to avoid that happening. As we go on, we can see how this has happened to Kevin in his own words. He's had a strict upbringing, he's had a lonely childhood, he's had a sheltered childhood, he's had constant and public humiliation, and then he's had a period of absolute trauma, and he latches on to an episode of Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World as just something to grasp hold of, to get him out of the psychological hell that he's found himself in. But this becomes an obsession. He now sees connections, he sees patterns in everything. We all see connections and patterns in things. I certainly do. But I see it for the coincidence that it is, and sometimes puzzle briefly at the synchronicity of it, but know that there is no deeper meaning to it. Kevin is convinced that the meaning is deep and is real, and he has the confidence in that conviction, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who spends time on social media. Kevin has built an entire world from these connections, and he's superimposed it completely seamlessly on the real world. You almost want him to be right at parts of this book, or at the very least you want him to have a moment of clarity where he has this realization of where he's got to. The construction of the book itself is a juxtaposition between the reports of an incident they are investigating, written firstly by Maxine and followed up with Kevin's own thoughts on exactly the same events, and we can see the wildly disparate views from the hard-headed scientist and the fantasist. but it also allows us to accept completely that Kevin is an unreliable narrator, but to bake in that unreliableness, get at the truth that, perhaps the scientific, rational, briefer, logical notes from Maxine are actually excluding. This is a very British book, and I think you would have to be British, and British of a certain age perhaps, or certainly a very big Anglophile to understand all of the references here. I doubt very much that the phrase "gwapple me gwape nuts" is going to mean much to anyone else who was not watching children's television in the 1970s. But this isn't just peppering the text with cultural references purely for the sake of spotting something. This is integral to how Kevin sees the world. He has no filter between what he has picked up in his pop culture life versus the reality of what he sees in front of him. His life is a wild mixture of the two. It was absolutely not the book I was expecting, but I enjoyed it all the more for that, or despite that. And then I found out the reason why. Ashley Stokes is a graduate of the creative writing course, master's course, at the University of East Anglia, my old university. How could it possibly have failed? But there we are, 3 weeks into Giant April, and we've won the biggest book of the lot still to read. Scar by China Miéville. 1 week left to read and report back on that. 1 week left for Kong behind me before he gets banished once again to the garage. 1 week before I have my Giant April badge preserved in amber for future generations. But I'm sure these won't be the last monsters I read about during 2024. But until then, bye.